What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to the Sanchez Show. This is the pregame for Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight going down in about an hour. So we're going to be live for about 30 to 45 minutes, given what I expect, my predictions, what to look forward to in Game 2. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show streaming across all major platforms. Also, make sure you subscribe to Real Fans Real Talk. We will be live tomorrow night at 7 p.m. to give our reactions to what takes place tonight in Game 2, give our predictions how we think the rest of the series plays out, and also recap this past week in sports. It's a lot to get into. Tonight, we're focusing on NBA, though. As always, make sure you follow me across all social media platforms. You see the handle right there on the screen. Legend in 2 games across all social media platforms. We will be live for Game 3 pregame as well on Wednesday night. So you definitely want to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Head back over here on Wednesday. But tonight, obviously, we got Game 2. And we got a lot to digest after Game 1. And I said last week that the only thing that would surprise me in Game 1 would be a blowout. And that's what we got. It got close and got competitive in the third quarter. But other than that, it was a blowout. So I was a little surprised by that outcome. But there were some other things that stuck out to me that we're going to get to in a second as well. Excuse me. Before we get to Game 2 breakdown, a couple things I want to talk about. Shout out to the homie, great friend of the show, Bruce Shushu Carrington, a rising star in the featherweight division. Had a good win last night on the undercard of the Xander Reyes boxing top rank card yesterday. Shout out to him doing it for the city, doing it big for Brooklyn. He mentioned Inoue's name. I know I saw some comments. People didn't like that he did that, but that's what you're supposed to do. He wants to be one of the top dogs. He wants to be one of the elites. He's going to call out the elites, and his time will come. He is a rising star. If you guys are not familiar, get familiar. He is definitely one of them ones. So that's first that we want to get off of the docket. The second thing, every now and then we talk some WNBA. Shout out to our supporters. Shout out to the weekly subscribers and followers and supporters who will make sure we stay honest with our WNBA takes. And one of the biggest things coming out recently, obviously, is Caitlin Clark and thoughts on Caitlin Clark. Is she a bust? Is she overhyped? I don't subscribe to any of that thinking. I've said several times, she's a rookie who's going to need a little bit of time. One of the things that I think continuously gets overlooked is that she went straight from her college season into this WNBA season. Very little practice time, no off season. She's working her way through their kinks. But she had a good night the other night out in DC when she dropped 30 points in a victory. So I think she will continue to progress. However, the talk right now is her being left off of the Olympic team. And I have no problem with that. I have said several times before that her longevity in the game is what's the most important thing. I think too much people are making into what's going on right now and how she perceived right now, how she's performing right now. But if she's able to sustain this star power, if she's able to continue to play at a high level and get people to tune in, that's the most important thing for the league. So her not being on this Olympic team, okay, a little disappointing. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see her there. I'm sure more people would have tuned in if she was a part of this team. But she'll have plenty of opportunities moving forward. And she'll get on an Olympic team at some point. For her, though, I think this snub is a blessing in disguise. It gives her the opportunity to get a rest, work out with her team, kind of review the film as to what she needs to get better in, and then expand her game. She is an elite talent that I think a lot of people, again, have taken one side or the other. There isn't much in between when it comes to Caitlin Clark. There aren't people who are willing to say, hey, she's a good player, but she needs this. It's either, oh, she's trash and she's overrated, or she's the greatest thing since sliced bread and everybody should be kissing her ass. I think there's more middle ground than we realize, and she is a talent that's going to show us how special she can be. So I expect to see great things from her. No biggie that she's not on the Olympic team. I hope it doesn't turn into a major narrative. As a rookie, averaging 17, 6, and 5, which is right in line with what I thought she would do. Shout out to my brother Trip Young. As I said on the previous episode of Real Fans Real Talk, I think her rookie season was going to be somewhere in the range of 15, 5, and 5. And she's going to get better as the season goes on. And as she adjusts to the physicality and the speed and her teammates and being able to get her own shot off. She's a guard. She's not, some of the great women players who have come out in the past who had a lot of hype were post players. She's a perimeter player. She's got a lot more responsibilities because she's expected to come in and be a savior of a team who had the number 1 pick in the draft and didn't have much talent already. And the fact that she's so perimeter based, there's going to be some challenges. But I think ultimately she's going to get better. So that'll work out for her. Now, before we get to the business at hand, I hope everyone is enjoying their Sunday night. It is always amazing, I think, when we get these moments in sports. Summertime, cookout season, boxing season, as I love to say all the time. Baseball's in full effect. And then we get the NBA Finals on a Sunday evening, a great way to kick back. So I hope everyone's got some in their cup and enjoying their night. That being said, let's digest and break down what we saw game one. Let's circle back because I think there were some things in game one that you got to pay attention to that can be deceiving. And as I highlighted to start this episode, as I highlighted Sunday, the only thing that would have surprised me was a blowout. I expect this series to go 6 games. I still expect it to go 6 games. I think these teams are more evenly matched than people realize. Boston has more talent. I think Dallas has 2 of the top 3 players in the series. I think Dallas has the better coach. I think Boston hasn't really been tested. In this series, they will be tested for the first time. So I expect at least a 6-game series. I've also said many a time, and I'm a firm believer that game 2 is the true indicator on how the series will go. Game 2 is where the adjustments are made. Game 2 is where you get to sit back, look at the film, see how they were defending you, see what opportunities were missed, see where you can be better, and then you implement them. And if you have a good coach, which I think Jason Kidd is, if you've got a good team, which I think Dallas is, you'll make the necessary adjustments to close the gap and possibly change what happened in game 1. Now, we can't ignore certain things from game 1. The first is the disparity at the three-point shooting. Dallas was terrible shooting the ball from the three, I should say. Boston was great. Just in three-point shooting alone, Boston was a plus 27 from the three-point line. If you win a game by 18 points, plus 27 from 3, that's going to play a major factor in it. So that stuck out first and foremost. Even watching the game, you could see. And one of the reasons I think Boston was so able to do this was pace of play. Even though it won't correlate to fast break points, because when you look at the fast break points, they're pretty even. Neither team looks like they were able to get up and down. But what Boston did was push the tempo and then not allow Dallas to set their defense. And a lot of times you saw Dallas scrambling around the three-point line as that second and third pass were made for an open three-point shot. So even though they don't count as fast break points at that point in the shot clock, I should say, they are a direct result of Boston pushing the pace, of Boston getting up and down the court, and then putting Dallas in these scramble drills where they can't match up, they can't get the right people in position, and they're giving up open shots. So that was the first thing that stuck out to me. Plus 27 from 3, we've got to see how that translates to game 2, if that's sustainable, if Dallas can make some adjustments there, and if Boston's going to shoot the ball that well again in game 2. Game 1, Dallas also is going to look at moments where they missed a lot of open three-pointers, specifically Kyrie Irving. And I know Boston will give some of the threes up to Derrick Jones and PJ Washington. Kyrie's not the one guy they want to give up a lot of three-pointers to. And there was that point in the third quarter when Dallas goes on a run and gets it to 8 points, where Kyrie misses 2 wide open threes, one on the left wing, one on the right wing as they're making a run. And if those shots fall, we're probably talking about a different third quarter and possibly even a different outcome, because it was at a time when Boston was on the ropes. They had Boston kind of stumbling, and Boston had given up that large part of that lead. And he misses those, and immediately it goes from an 8-point game right back up to a 16-point game as Boston comes down, hits a couple threes, and then gets a layup. So that's something we want to keep an eye on. Kyrie's got to shoot better. Dallas has to knock down their opportunities with open threes specifically. Boston, can they still be plus 27? That's the first thing I'm paying attention to. Boston is a very good three-point shooting team. These are 2 of the best three-point shooting teams in the NBA. So I'm not surprised that either one of them would explode. I'm just points in the paint. Watching the game, it felt like we knew Porzingis could be a major impact, but it just felt like Porzingis was dominating the interior of this game and the paint of this game through the first quarter. And then when I look back at it and I looked at the numbers, I'm like, no, actually, Dallas got a lot of quality shots in the paint. And Dallas, though they didn't get the lobs that they normally get, they were able to still finish around the paint. Luka specifically, they missed a lot of layups around the paint. They kind of double clutched a couple of times because of Porzingis' impact. But looking at points in the paint, Dallas won that 46-38, so the +8 in the paint. And if Dallas can somehow close the gap on a three-point shooting, as I mentioned, +27 for Boston, then you see a pathway where Dallas is able to still get the shots they want around the rim, in spite of Porzingis still doing what he did. Dallas was getting downhill, Dallas was getting into the paint, and Dallas was doing a lot of the things that I expected them to do, aside from getting the lobs. That was the only thing they weren't able to really get. They were not able to really get the lob at the rim for Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. That's one of the things they're going to try to be better at in game 2. Derek Lively's got to stay out of foul trouble, of course. But points in the paint are there for Dallas. And I think if Dallas just shoots a little better percentage, just stays aggressive, they'll have their opportunities in the paint. I think that in game 2 is going to be one of the other things that will balance out. We'll see Dallas continue to get into the paint and continue to get their shots there. If they're knocking them down, then that will force Boston to change. I said before game 1, Boston was going to turn Luka into a scorer. I was 1,000% correct. You look at Luka's box score, 30 points, 10 rebounds. Most people would say, hey, we'll take it every day of the week, right? It's a good game for Luka. But he had 1 assist. And more importantly, as a team, Dallas only had 9 assists. So that leads me to believe Boston, and Joe Mazzulla's kind of thinking the same way I'm thinking. We're going to turn this guy into a scorer, and we're not going to allow him to get not only the lobs at the rim, but the kick out corner threes, the slashers. It's going to be Luka, and then everyone else is going to have to create their own shot. This is a narrative that I've been talking about for quite some time. This is something that certain teams get plagued with, because if you don't have enough shot creators, if you don't have enough guys who can get their own shot and not have to rely on the big fish to do it, you're going to struggle offensively at times. And you saw that from Dallas in the first half of game 1. Outside of Luka and Kyrie, they don't have many guys who can create their own shot, which is why I expect tonight Tim Hardaway Jr. to play more. I also think Jason Kidd got a little too cute in game 1 with his substitution patterns in the first quarter. There was a point in game 1, right when Dallas had that 1-point lead, a little more than midway through the first quarter, where he goes with James Hardy, Green, and Maxi Kleber, along with Kyrie on the floor. Luka, he tried to steal a little bit of rest for Luka, but with 1 shot creator, 2 inexperienced guards, and kind of a stretch 5 in Maxi Kleber, there weren't many threats on the floor. And that was also, in terms of time frame on the court, that correlated to when Porzingis started to go off, because if you look, Porzingis gets the block on Green trying to dunk. He gets the block on Hardy trying to lay up the ball. Maxi Kleber can't stay with Porzingis, who goes crazy in that first quarter. And then you're left out there with Kyrie as your only shot creator with limited offensive options. Jason Kidd tonight, watch first quarter. I think his substitutions will be better. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. plays more early in this game. You've got to go to Tim Hardaway Jr. I just don't understand in this situation going with 2 inexperienced wings like Hardy and Green. When you have a guy, I know Hardaway Jr. has never played in the NBA Finals, but he has a lot more playoff experience than those 2 guys. And he is a guy who we know can give you 12 to 15 points off the bench. Give him his opportunities. Let him get going. He can also create his own shot. He can get into the mid-range. Keep him out there as another threat and force Boston to be honest. Force Boston to be honest defensively. So there are some ways that I think Jason Kidd can combat what Boston was doing defensively. It all wasn't bad for Dallas, to be honest. I don't think Dallas was terrible in game 1. The score would indicate otherwise. But outside of that stretch from midway through the first quarter through midway through the second quarter, when Boston builds the leads up almost to 30 points, Dallas is hanging. The rest of the game, Dallas is with them. Point-wise, Dallas is with them. And like I said, the three-point shooting is the one thing that sticks out the most. Plus 27 from 3. That's a backbreaker. Like There's no way you're ever going to be any team if they outscore you by almost 30 points shooting the three ball alone. You got to defend it better. You got to shoot it better. So Dallas, that's going to be a point of emphasis tonight in game 2. But there were moments, I think, for Dallas. And like I mentioned, points in the paint, that's one of them. You can get to your spots. You can get to the paint. You just got to finish. The second thing, I think Kyrie plays better game 2. Kyrie missed some wide open shots, as I highlighted, a couple threes, finishes with 14 points. He's got to be better. I expect him to be better. He understands the urgency that's at play, and I expect him to be playing downhill from the jump. If they're going to play him with Derek White or Drew Holiday, which that's Drew Holiday got the early assignment in game 1 before Holiday switched over to Luka. I expect Kyrie to be aggressive very early, going downhill, forcing a double, forcing help, and turning into a bit of a playmaker, looking for a shot first and then turning into a playmaker as he starts to beat defenders. But he's got to be aggressive super, super early in this game. He can't, this isn't one of them situations where you allow the game to come to you. You go to the game, you force the issue, and you force Boston to guard you. And then you see if the refs are going to allow them to play physical or not. And you kind of get a temperature for the game very early with your aggression. That's what I expect from Kyrie tonight. A couple more things we want to get into there, though. Again, as always, guys, make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show, streaming across all major platforms. Make sure you subscribe to Real Fans Real Talk. We're going to be live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Trip Young and myself, we're back. We're giving you our reactions to game 2 tonight, letting you know where the series stands, and obviously wrapping up the week in sports. About 45 minutes away from the start of the game, right? All right, let's get to it. Now, something else that stuck out to me, as I mentioned, assist to turnover. Dallas didn't do a great job of it. Though they didn't turn the ball over a lot. They only had 11 turnovers. Boston seemed so much better defensively because of the shot blocking. Jaylen Brown and Porzingis were great at meeting players at the rim. Dallas didn't turn the ball over a lot, though. 11 turnovers in a game isn't bad at all. It's just that they only had 9 assists. You got to be better there. You got to get better ball movement. You got to get better open shots. You got to get a rhythm going. I expect to see that. Boston, 14 turnovers on 23 assists, much better. That led to the open threes. That led to my statement earlier about getting up the court quick, getting into your offense quick, Dallas scrambling around. I think that balances out a little bit more. To think Dallas is going to go 11 turnovers to 9 assists again, that just doesn't seem normal to me. Not when you have 2 great playmakers like Kyrie and Luka. I just don't see you only having 9 assists again. I think that'll balance out a little bit more, which will lead then to Dallas just having better floor spacing, better rhythm offensively. And Dallas ultimately has to survive that initial wave of emotion within the building. One of the things I really overlooked, and I so mad at myself afterwards because I told you guys about bets I placed and what I was looking forward to in that game. I picked Dallas first quarter. And the moment the game started, and I don't know why none of the supporters mentioned it. I don't know why it was never mentioned when we talked on Sunday. Bill Walton tribute. Bill Walton, who passed away within the last week and a half, won a championship with the Celtics in '86, beloved in that area, beloved from that city and that team. They do a tribute to him, and there's this wave of emotion within that building that the fans didn't sit down, I don't think, for the whole first quarter. And that, I think, got Boston over their jitters early. Because you saw it early on. Like, both teams were a little rigid. It's game 1 of the finals. Everyone's looking to be, competitive and make a play. But then when they kind of got over that rigidness and the crowd is carrying them with this wave of emotion, Dallas couldn't respond. Dallas could not recover. And ultimately, that's what just kept Dallas on their heels the rest of the game. And even when they make their rush, and they make their run, I should say, to get it down to 8 points, they exerted so much energy to get it there that you still have this Boston crowd that's carrying the team at that point because they're just so happy to get their team back home, game 1, right? They hadn't played in like 2 weeks. You got the Bill Walton tribute, and you just got all this energy in the building. And then you got Porzingis playing so well in the first quarter. So they were these pockets of emotion that I think Dallas had to overcome that they just weren't able to overcome. I wonder if that will be the same here in game 2. I wonder if Boston, the Celtics, not the city, because I expect the city to be going crazy. They got an opportunity to go up 0-2. I mean, 2-0, I should say. But I wonder if the players can muster up that same energy again without the tribute, and if they don't get the great first quarter. If they don't get the great first quarter, and this goes to my Dallas point about being able to sustain early on, understanding there's going to be this wave of emotion. There's going to be these high points early on with the roof of that building is going to feel like it's about to blow off. Pause. There's going to be those moments. Can you sustain and say, all right, we're good. Just stay within punches distance, stay within striking distance, give ourselves a chance. I think Dallas has to do that. Jason Kidd, tonight might be one of the nights where you call early timeouts if you have to. I know timeouts are precious in a playoff game, specifically in the finals. But if you got to call early timeouts, you have to. You got to find a way to keep everything very calm, keep the emotions as low as possible in this game, as low as possible. Give your team a chance to overcome this wave of emotion on the road early on. You've got the best player in the series. Give him an opportunity to control it. Luka is going to be Luka. I know he's dealing with the knee, with the ankle. Now they're saying he has a chest contusion, but he's going to play. Luka is going to be Luka. Luka's going to have his moments. I think Luka's going to get a lot of foul calls tonight too. There weren't a lot of free throws in game one. Don't be surprised tonight is a big free throw night. But Jason Kidd, use your timeouts. Allow your team to just continue to settle in and keep it calm. Keep that crowd out as much out of it as you can. I think Dallas can be all right. I know I sound like I'm being biased towards Dallas. I do have Dallas winning the series. I think Dallas wins tonight as well. If they don't win tonight, I would not go as far as to say the series is over. We've seen other teams lose the first two games of a series and still win. In these playoffs alone, we saw the Pacers lose the first two games of a series and win. We saw Denver lose the first two games at home and still get to a game 7. Just last year, Boston lost the first 3 games of a series and got to a game 7. The good teams always find a way to respond. I think Dallas is a good team. So as I've said before game 1, I wasn't going to make any hostile decisions after or reactions after game 1. Game 2 will tell me a lot more about these teams. Now, Boston blows them out tonight. Yeah, Dallas is in a lot of trouble. If Boston can blow them out tonight and duplicate the performance they put in game 1, Dallas is on life support. I expect Dallas to play better, though. And if Dallas plays better and Dallas does some of the things that I've talked about prior to the series and even tonight, then I think we go back to Dallas with a 1-1 series. And then anything is possible at that point, and home court is shifted, and it becomes the type of series that I thought. Great adjustments and a lengthy series that I expect to at least go 6. Jason Kidd, it's on you, though. You've got to make the adjustments tonight, Jason Kidd. You've got to find a way to get your team back in it. They got to find a way to win tonight and force it back to Dallas, tie 1-1. Couple notes as well. Dallas has not lost back-to-back playoff games in these playoffs. They've won after any loss, so that favors them. The Celtics are 1-2 in game 2s so far in these playoffs. They lost to Miami in game 2. They lost to Cleveland in game 2. They beat the Pacers in game 2. That's their 1 out of the 3 rounds. The one thing that sticks out for me in those 2 scenarios really is Boston's 3-point defense in the losses. In the loss to Miami, you look back in round 1, and the loss to Cleveland in round 2, they gave up a lot of wide open threes. The effort wasn't there defensively. That's going to be the challenge for Joe Mazzulla tonight. He's going to have to make sure his guys are putting in the effort defensively, because if the shots aren't falling, we can't allow Dallas to just get hot. We can't allow Dallas to just get going because we're not good offensively. They got to be better there. So defensive effort from Boston is going to be key tonight. Can they continue to shoot the 3 ball the same way? Will Dallas shoot the 3 ball better? Assist to turnover ratio. I expect some more free throws tonight as well. I expect Kyrie to play more downhill. I expect Tatum to be a little more aggressive. I thought Tatum was good. He wasn't great in game 1. I thought he was good. I thought Porzingis, Tatum, Drew Holiday probably were like the standout guys from game 1. And that goes back to my point about Tatum needing to assert himself and truly play like the alpha, not just be perceived as the alpha on this team, but play like the alpha. Show everyone that he can be the lead guy on a championship team. So I think he plays better tonight. But that leads to my Jason Kidd statement, where Jason Kidd goes on to say, in regards to Jaylen Brown's performance, Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics. And it was very strategic of Jason Kidd. It was a jab to kind of disrupt the rhythm and the flow that the Celtics have. I don't know if it worked. We'll see tonight. But I thought Jason Tatum answered it about as good as you can answer it by saying, we've had to deal with this, with these type of things and this divisive intentions of other teams before. I thought it was telling that Drew Holiday kind of confirmed what Jason Kidd said and agreed with them, because most times in that case you would say, hey, we're not responding to that. It don't matter who the best guy in this locker room is. We're a team. But as a veteran to kind of acknowledge that he's played the best, I guess that's what Jason Kidd wanted. He wanted to see if he could stir something up in that locker room and create a little bit of doubt. And you wonder, I expected Jason Tatum to play better tonight anyway, so I don't want to make it seem like Jason Tatum will only play better because Jason Kidd made those comments. But you wonder if Jason Tatum will force the issue and chase some shots tonight because of what Jason Kidd said. Did Jason Kidd do enough to force Tatum's game tonight? Or will Tatum remain patient and stay within the rhythm of the game and allow the shots to come to him? So yeah, that will be another one to watch tonight. So, as I mentioned though, I like Dallas tonight. I'm taking Dallas tonight to win. I also like, if we're talking gambling, I like Tatum to go for 27.5 points. I think he'll be right on the cusp of 30 points tonight because I expect him to be a little more aggressive. I expect Kyrie and Luka to both hit 3 threes tonight. If we're talking gambling, those are the ones I like. I like Dallas to win. I thought about taking Dallas first quarter again. I may still do it as we get closer to tip-off, just because I just expect a better first quarter from Dallas. And though one quarter doesn't make the game, sometimes one quarter can really alter the outcome of the game. And knowing that Boston was up so much at the end of the first quarter and then see how that game ended, the first quarter played a large factor in how the rest of that game played out in terms of strategy and what Dallas was trying to do. Also, what will be interesting tonight, I talked about rotations and substitutions. Joe Mazzulla, you're up 1-0. You don't play again till Wednesday. This might be a golden opportunity to play your guys some longer minutes tonight and see if you can really put your foot on Dallas's throat. I know every coach loves their substitution patterns and they love to go with the rotation that they're so comfortable with. But knowing we've got 2 full days off, Monday and Tuesday, before we play Wednesday night in Dallas, I wouldn't mind if Joe Mazzulla said, and again, Boston is the deeper team, but I wouldn't mind if Joe Mazzulla said, hey, Brown and Tatum, you guys are playing 40 plus minutes tonight. Like, let's go for it, especially if this game is close. Now, if Dallas gets a big lead late, which I don't expect, again, I wouldn't expect a blowout in this game. But if Dallas has a big lead late and you want to take your guys out, I get it. But they got some rest in game one because Tatum and Brown, them guys were off the floor with like 5 minutes to go. Tonight might be a night where you just let your guys go and say, hey, 40 plus minutes. And let's see if we can go 2-0 and vice versa. Same thing for Dallas. If you're Jason Kidd, can you afford to go down 0-2? I don't think so. I don't think you want to go down 0-2. I don't think you can afford to go down 0-2. As I mentioned, you could be on life support after tonight. So Luka's a little banged up. Maybe you try to get him some rest early in this game. And second half, Luka may not come out of that game or very limited rest. Same thing with Kyrie. But if you're Joe Mazzulla, I think your 2 best guys should play 40 plus minutes tonight. And if you're Jason Kidd, I think I'm going with my 5 best guys. And I don't care if I limit my rotation to 6 guys tonight. If I got to limit my rotation to 6 guys tonight, then so be it. I'm going to play my 2 bigs. I'm going to play my 2 guards and some combination of PJ, Derek Jones, and Tim Hardaway Jr. That to me should be your 6, maybe 7 at the most. If you're Jason Kidd, I got to go with the guys that I can trust the most. I know Derrick Jones gives you great ability defensively, but if he's not knocking down a corner three, then it's got to be Tim Hardaway Jr. And same thing with PJ. PJ gives you versatility because he can slide over to the 4, but if he's not playing well, then we might have to go with a smaller lineup with the 3 guard of Hardaway, Luka, and Kyrie, playing next with Derrick Jones and whoever, however you want to go. But you got to go with the rotations you trust the best. You get 2 full days off after tonight. There's no need to try to get too cute with substitutions. I'm speaking specifically to Jason Kidd because I thought in game 1 he got way too cute early in that game. Don't get cute with substitutions. Go with the 6, maybe 7 guys that you trust the most and say, these are where all the minutes are going to go because I need every minute on the court to be from somebody who can be productive, not from a guy that I'm trying to check the temperature of. Got to be better there. With that being said, before I wrap up, again, I hope everyone is enjoying their Sunday night. Enjoy game 2. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Sanchez Show. Streaming across all major platforms, of course. Make sure you are following me across all social media platforms. Legend in 2 games, completely spelled out the way it is right there. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., we're back. Real Fans, Real Talk with my brother Trip Young as we give you our reactions to game 2 from tonight, as well as a recap of everything that took place in the world of sports over the last week. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to be back. NBA Finals Game 3 pregame with the Sanchez Show will be going down Wednesday. Wednesday is an 8:30 start, so I'll be going live at 7:30 on Wednesday, preparing you guys, letting you know what I'm expecting to see. We're going to see how this plays out. I feel pretty confident. I feel like a lot of the things I said leading into game 1 were true. I feel like a lot of the things I'm saying now going into game 2 are true. We're going to see how it plays out. But ultimately, just enjoy the games. Enjoy your Sunday night. I will see you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. sharp with my brother Trip Young. As always, this is the Sanchez Show. I am your host, Legend in 2 Games. We are out of here.